Welcome to the channel AGM Canadian. My name is Adrian Menezes. I would like to wish everyone watching this video a Happy New Year, and I hope you and your families have a prosperous year ahead of you, whatever your endeavors. I wish you the best in your decisions if you're looking to study, work, visit, or have other plans for your new year. I wish you the best. And I would like to provide you some updates on what's happening in the Canadian immigration sector. It has been an interesting 2023. We have had all sorts of developments. And in this video, I'm going to summarize a key aspect of what has transpired. And I hope to continue to make such videos so that you can listen in, follow, share, and as always, these videos are informational videos. If you're looking for consultation or you have a specific case in mind regarding immigration, please visit agmcanadian.com and you can book a consultation with myself where we can talk more about your circumstance or your family and make that decision together on what's the best path for you to immigrate to Canada. So 2023 has been monumental in such that it's been making headlines all across with various media articles. And the reasons are there has been a significant amount of surplus in the amount of temporary residents coming to Canada. And what that has led is an outcome where Canada has got a population of 40 plus million, just recently hit 40 million. And when you have a population of 40 million, there isn't enough housing available to accommodate all the temporary residents that are coming into the country as per the government of Canada's plan on bringing in immigrants to the country. So now this has led to a demand and supply concern where there's a significant demand for a specific product, which is housing. And when you want to come to a country with your family, you're going to need a lot of services. You're not going to only use housing. You'll need a place to stay. You'll need to go to school. You'll need to use the utilities. You'll need common products. You'll need to shop, pay for your groceries. And this leads us to all sorts of questions that where is the infrastructure? And what has happened is there is a significant shortage of housing in Canada. This has led to tier one cities such as Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, to have enormous rise in their rentals. And if you're staying in one of these cities, such as Toronto, Vancouver, you might have seen the rents have gone up significantly, whether you're staying in a room or you're sharing with a roommate or you're just having a small family and you're looking to take a portion of a room or a basement and try to live, pay your bills and go to work. You might have noticed that the cost of living has gone up significantly. And we have also had inflation on top of that. And we're having right now very high interest rates if you're mortgaging your home. So let's put this into perspective. If you are, or if you had a home that you purchased a couple of years ago, and let's say that home was $1 million, and you now have to pay your mortgage, and you're paying interest on that mortgage, which was anywhere from 3 or 4%. Right now, the mortgage rates have gone up to 6% plus, which means if you are paying on that property for your mortgage, you're paying the majority of your the money that you're paying the bank is going towards the interest and not your principal. And it's going to take many years, in fact, a couple of decades, not even the usual 25 years, to pay off those homes. And it comes to a point where the interest rates have gone up so high for those homeowners who have to renew their mortgage contracts. They're unable to make payments because the rates are so high. That, along with the limited availability of housing, has created a recipe for disaster. And many people have decided to take various decisions, such as some of those individuals have decided to either leave Canada. They have decided that this isn't the best place for them, that where they came from, life was better. Many immigrants come from various countries all over the world. Um, let's take an example of people that come from Asia or the Middle East. I know that they earn a very good amount of remuneration in the Middle East, such as Dubai or Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Oman. The salaries are very high, even though they just recently introduced tax in some of those countries. You're still able to save money, and you're able to have some savings with the tax right now applied in Canada. That makes savings a real challenge. Uh, and if you're having children and you need to put your children in daycare, this creates another challenge. Not only there's a housing shortage, there's even a childcare shortage. So this has created a lot of concerns for new immigrants who have come to Canada and trying to find out what their options are, what can they do, and to summarize these challenges, I would like to state every country has their concerns. There is no perfect country out there. As you all know, when you're immigrating, you're starting your new life. And I can tell you, I immigrated to Canada, and I'm still here in this country, and life has been good. You have to accept there will be challenges, and you'll have to accept that there are times that things aren't going to happen the way you want it to, whether it's you're looking for a favorable interest rate, or you're looking for better housing, or you're looking for daycare, and there are going to be challenges. You might even be laid off from your work. These are all challenges you're going to face, but in the long run, once you do accomplish your goal of either becoming a permanent resident or eventually becoming a citizen in Canada, you will start to experience the longevity of this country. Unlike other countries where you're living in as an expat, your time in that country is limited. And I say limited is until you have something permanent. And this is a very important point. You have to look at the broader context. When you travel, whether you're getting a great job in Dubai or London or Europe, you need to look at the longevity of it. Are you able to live permanently with your family? Or are you just going to be there temporarily for a couple of months or a couple of years and move on to another country? And you have to ask yourself, what's in the best interest for you? So I wanted to explain that because I know there's been a lot of articles going on in the news with regards to limited daycare, limited housing, and this raises an important aspect with the students. There are a lot of international students that come to Canada wanting to study, upgrade their education, and they are hoping at the end of their studies, and once they do graduate, they will get the opportunity to apply to the province to either be nominated for what's called as a provincial nominee program, or be eligible to apply directly with the federal government and start the application for their permanent residence. Excuse me. So, uh, international students have been facing a lot of hardship because there have been a lot of universities that have been misusing the system. And I want to specify and be very clear what this means and what happens. So you might have been in the scenario where you apply to a certain college or school or university for admission. Like you, there are many hundreds or thousands of students applying to that same college or school or university for an admission to eventually obtain a letter of admission. And what happens is the LOA, otherwise known as a letter of acceptance, uh, those schools have been providing in excess number of letter of acceptance letters to individuals, but they do not have the capacity to manage the number of letters that they're sending out. So when the individual student completes their process, which is at the back end, they obtain their letter of acceptance and then they start their formality with the IRCC, which is the Immigration Refugee Citizenship Canada, to apply for their study permit. This is where the concern starts because many of them have received their study permit and they have been either told that there isn't enough space or seats available in that specific school to study for that term. And they then have to decide to defer to the following term. And for some students, this has created more of a headache than an opportunity because they are investing a lot of money. They are borrowing money from their families, from their friends, from their businesses. There is an investment put aside. And I say investment because they have to pay a portion of their college tuition, either as a deposit to secure that admission. And there is a certain amount that they pay depending on the letter that they have received from that college. And what happens is that money is blocked for a period of time. And if that student has not achieved the purpose of obtaining their study permit, they now have to keep that money with that school till they obtain that study permit. And even then, there have been many students who have not achieved their admission, have asked for their refund, and schools have been, I would say, creating more challenges to provide the refunds to the international students. Uh, some colleges have even refused to provide the refunds, or decided not to respond back to the students. So these are real concerns that many students have faced, and I would like to specify that when you are making the decision to study in Canada, and if your goal is to obtain your permanent residence, you must be coming to Canada with the purpose of studies. Do not come to the country with the idea that you're going to be working from day one. This is the biggest problem that's being created by the student and their families because what's happening is there aren't enough opportunities for the students to work full time. And when you're coming with the idea that you want to work full time from day one and not focus on your studies, you're putting your educational goal on the back burner and you're not focusing on your studies, which is your primary purpose. Now, there's nothing wrong in working a few hours, there's nothing wrong in trying out jobs, there's nothing wrong in earning an income in Canada. But with the idea of working full time, which is what's been happening lately, and many students are so focused on finding a job, applying for the work permit, it's become a trend where they think that they can self-support themselves or pay a majority amount of that income from their earnings and cover their costs, but it's not doable. And as I said, the cost of living in Canada has gone up significantly. You'll be paying anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for a room, depending on which province you're staying in, and you will not be able to earn that amount of income with a full-time job, let alone a part-time job. You're definitely not going to cover the bill. So you have to come with a true intention of studying, a true intention of dedicating yourself. Do your best, study well, get very high marks. Make sure you're able to connect with organizations with your marks and with your extracurricular activities. Volunteer. Look around with what's happening in Canada, what volunteer opportunities are there. Spend your time. You don't have to do it every day or every week, but spend a portion of your time and dedicate yourself. And then when you graduate, you have the ammunition to go into the workforce. Remember, once you do graduate, the Government of Canada gives you the ability to apply for the postgraduate work permit program, which means after your studies, you'll be able to stay in the country and apply for it, provided you're approved and you have met the requirements in following all the rules and conditions that have been specified in your permit. Now, many students disregard those conditions. Many students are either looking at it as working additional hours, which means they're contravening the policies and conditions that are specified on their permit. And when you do that, the visa officer is going to think quite a bit before admitting you, whether to the country if you departed, or considering your application, because you have either broken the rules or they see inconsistency in what you stated you were going to do. Remember, your purpose in Canada is not to work. Your purpose in Canada is to study. So I highly recommend, if you're coming to Canada to study, please ensure you spend that time and you study well. And if you do get the opportunity to work and it's in your means and you have the time, go for it, provided you have a valid work permit and you have the right amount of hours that are specified that doesn't affect your studies in any way. In this way, by creating a balance, you will be able to obtain your valuable Canadian education credentials, as well as have the opportunity to experience what the Canadian workforce is and understand the culture and the diversity that is present here across Canada. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this topic, which is being very concerning to many people who are, I know, currently in the country. They are in Canada and they're working hours and hours trying to make ends meet. The rents are very expensive. Uh, the grocery bills have gone up. Some of them have lost their jobs, but they still have to study, and some schools have even deferred their admissions. So many people are facing quite a challenge. So I hope, based on this, you can consider these decisions before you decide to come into the country. And as always, please visit my website, ajmcanadian.com, to have a consultation with me if you're looking to discuss your Canadian immigration goal, whether you're looking to study, visit, work, or invest. I'll be happy to have that consultation and spend some time with you or your families. That's all for now. Until our next video, take care.